Roth accounts are one of the most impactful tax planning tools that we have at our disposal. This video is about how to get the most money in Roth accounts per year. Everybody loves the benefits that come with it. You get tax-free growth, you get tax-free use, you don't have to take required minimum distributions, and everybody loves this because they think I'd much rather pay taxes today than pay taxes in the future because of the deficit in taxes going up. I don't necessarily think this is true. If you're in a really high tax bracket, it might make sense to defer versus pay tax depending on your age, depending how much you already have in pre-tax versus Roth accounts. But at the end of the day, that's not what this video is about. Let's take a step back and talk about 401ks. 401ks have an annual contribution max of $23,000 on the employee side. So whether you put that in Roth or you put that in traditional, you can put $23,000 in. What most people don't know is that the total annual limit to a 401k per year is $69,000 if you're under the age for a catch-up contribution. So let's say that you're an employee, you put in $23,000 to your Roth 401k, and you get a match of $7,000 based on your income and the match the employer offers. That means you've gotten $30,000 to your Roth 401k in this year. So now how do you get up to that $69,000, the $39,000 left of room you have? You do it through what's called the Mega Backdoor Roth 401k. The way that you do this is that you have to look at your 401k and see if you have an after-tax 401k option. I'll say this doesn't always exist. Maybe 20 to 30% of 401ks have this after-tax option. If you are a business owner, if you do have a solo 401k, you definitely have this option. You just have to have the right provider. If you're a really small business and you have a traditional 401k that has a Roth or traditional option, you're not going to be able to do the Mega Backdoor because of compliance testing that would make it top heavy and it would end up failing and you'd have to take those contributions out. Let's say that you go to your employer, you know you've got $30,000 in, you say, hey, do I have an after-tax 401k option? You can either ask HR or you can go log into your 401k and select contributions and go look if there's an after-tax option. This is part one. If you have the after-tax option, you move to part two. It's not done there, you don't automatically use it because you need to make sure that you have what's called an in-service distribution. Basically, you can move this money from the after-tax 401k over to a Roth IRA or over to your Roth 401k. This is really important because if you don't have the ability to do this, after-tax 401ks are not that great. Because after-tax 401ks, if you put the money in, that growth happens, you're gonna pay income taxes on the growth. So you're basically putting after-tax dollars like a taxable brokerage account, but the difference is that instead of capital gains taxes, you're gonna pay income taxes. Yes, it comes with some tax-deferred growth, but at the end of the day, probably not worth that lockup period. So let's say you reach out to HR, they say, yep, you can totally convert that money from after-tax to Roth. Well, then you know that you have this option. So you know, hey, I have $39,000 left of room that I can put in to the after-tax 401k and then I can convert it over to Roth. And converting over to Roth is a really big deal because again, if you don't, you're gonna pay income taxes on the growth. If you do, then that growth is gonna come tax-free. So then you need to look, how do you do it? Do you have to call in? Do you have, can it automatically be done? Whatever the strategy is, you need to make sure you know it and then you set up a schedule to do it. Sometimes people are like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I need to do it every month. And at the end of the day, doing it every month would be the most beneficial because you'd have the least amount of growth, the least amount of income taxes on the conversion. But for some people, that's not very manageable. So maybe you're gonna do this quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. And at the end of the day, if you have some growth and pay some income taxes, yeah, that kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, you're getting money over to Roth pretty quickly and letting compounding happen tax-free for a number of years. What about if you're a business owner? So let's say you're a solo business owner, you own an S Corp. What you can do is you can actually get all of this into Roth through a solo 401k. You can do the $23,000 on the employee side, all Roth, and then you can do the Mega Backdoor Roth 401k with all of the remaining $46,000. A lot of times the people that are the best fit for this are people who are really young who make a lot of money, for people who are in middle tax brackets. But a lot of times what we find is people who are in really high tax brackets, call it 37%, plus they live in California, they don't really want to put everything in Roth because they're locking in an effective tax rate or a marginal tax rate of about 50.3%. So what they do is they use their pre-tax options first. They'll max out their traditional 401k, they'll max out their HSA, and then after that, they know they only have Roth options from there. So then they'll go do the Mega Backdoor Roth 401k and they'll do Backdoor Roth IRAs. So again, at the end of the day, the goal isn't to put everything into Roth every year. It's all about optimizing tax brackets and trying to ensure that you pay the least amount of taxes over your lifetime. This is one of the most powerful strategies. If you are putting in $69,000 plus $7,000 to a Roth IRA, then you're doing $76,000 a year to Roth. You are gonna have a huge tax-free bucket for the future, which is also one of the best accounts to pass on to your heirs. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and go subscribe to my channel for more personal finance content. And as always, please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I promise to get back to every single one of them. We'll see you back next week.